Hi, I'm Mel Boyd and welcome to the Thermomix TM7. I'm going to do an unboxing and show you what comes in your box. Thank you so much for choosing me as your Thermomix consultant. I'd love to help you wherever you are. Okay, so it comes in this one large box. This is everything that you will need, and let's go ahead and open it up. Inside our large box, we have three smaller boxes. We've got a little guide here, some information if you want to nerd out on the details. And let's get these guys out. So one box here. Another box here. And the large box. There we go. So we have three boxes and a pamphlet. Now I'm going to open these up and give you a bit of a look through each of them. As I said, this just has some information, details, things about how you can care for parts of your Thermomix and those sorts of things. So a great little read if you're interested. Let's start with the smallest of the three boxes. Now you can tell by having a look on the cardboard that this is the Varoma box. So the Varoma, if you're not familiar with Thermomix, this is the steaming component of our Thermomix. So this sits on top of our Thermomix, and this is what we steam our vegetables and our meats in. So the Varoma, as you can see, there's holes in the base there. This is nice and deep. This is a significant size increase from the model before this. That's the Varoma dish. And we have the Varoma tray. You can see the holes in there. That sits inside of the dish, so you can actually do 2 levels of steaming. And this is the Varoma cover. So Varoma dish, tray and cover, and they sit on top of the machine. Now the next box that we're going to see, you can see here, this is the bowl, blade and lid assembly. We wrestle it out of there. Now you'll notice, if you're familiar with previous models of Thermomix, you'll notice that this bowl is a different colour on the outside. So this is part of the new redesign. You can see it's black. This is an insulated outer bowl. We open them up in here. We can pull out a few things. And I'll show you those as we go through them. So we have our whisk, or our butterfly attachment. This is used for whipping cream and things like that. It sits inside the bowl. We don't use that above speed 4, and that is written on the small print on there. Nothing above speed 4. This is called the simmering basket. So you can steam your veggies and do rice and things in it. This sits inside of the mixing bowl. We have the mixing bowl lid. You can see there's little holes in there, so you can drizzle things in as you're cooking. That sits on top. And then we have the lid cap. So this just sits on top like that. Now, the blade that's in the bottom, or the knife it's called, is the same as our TM6 knife. So they are interchangeable if you happen to have one of each. This lever on the side is how we disengage the bowl from the insulated cover. So we pull that, the inner bowl pulls out, and the knife pulls out. So we have the bowl cover, we have the inner bowl, and we have the knife or the mixing blade. So to assemble them, you find the black stripe down here, that goes in line with the handle. We then pop the blade in till it's seated, and then we push this lever across. Give a bit of a tug on there just to make sure that your knife assembly is in there securely. Okay, pop the lid on that, pop it to the side. So this insulated bowl will not get hot. Even though what you're cooking inside of it can go up to 160 degrees, that bowl is going to stay nice and cool. And then the final box is the brains behind this whole operation. So let's figure out how to break our way into this box. I think I'm opening it upside down. As I said, this is the brains behind the whole operation. We'll just take this protective cover off. This off the cord. So this is your Thermomix TM7 base. It does have a protective film on it, which you can just take straight off. Let's plug him in and let's get started. Now, we always want to make sure that we pull our cord all the way out so that that red tab is showing. Things to note, you may have seen in previous models that we have a glider board. That's not needed with TM7. It has a built-in glider foot. So underneath here, you see that white disc? That's a glider foot. It means we can pick it up at the front and move it around easily. So I'm going to plug this in and let's get it started. One other thing to note that came with the machine is our spatula. This was inside the box with the TM7 base, so make sure you look for that. I'm going to turn the machine on, just this silver button down the bottom there. So TM7 spatula has had a bit of a redesign. Okay, so the hook here is still used for getting the basket out of the bowl, so we pop that in there and we can pull the basket out. This little nodule here is used as a spatula rest, so it's not going to fall over. And the bottom part here you can use for helping to get the blade out if you don't have great dexterity, especially after you've used it for dough and things like that. This side of the spatula is quite soft, this side is hard, so we want to keep the soft side away from the blades. So if we're going into the bowl, we want to keep the hard side towards the blade. That's the action that we want to be using. Now I've just turned the Thermomix on for the first time. The first time that you turn it on, it's going to do a bit of booting up, a little bit of resetting. It's going to look for a factory update, a software update, and it's probably going to need to do one. Now that can take sort of 10 to 15 minutes. It just depends on the machine, how many updates it needs to do, those sorts of things. So it'll give you a progress. Down the bottom here, it's saying currently 18%. Now this is the base part that the bowl actually goes onto. So you can have a look. If I show you on the base of the bowl, you'll see there's 5 pins and they go straight onto here. So now the machine knows when the bowl is on properly, and it also knows when the lid is on. So, and that will show you via pictogram. So it won't give you the ability to actually start it until the base and the lid are on properly. So it knows what it's doing. Now, people may have seen these and thought maybe they were vents, which I know I first did when I first saw it. These actually aren't vents, so there's no way of food being able to get down in here. These are just a decorative touch. Okay, so we have the whole black outer case, which obviously matches our black insulated bowl and our black Varoma. So it's a nice sleek redesign, and I just love what they have done with it. As I said, this is going to take some time when you first turn it on, so just give yourself that time to make sure that you can do what you need to do to reset it. So it'll look for its software update, it'll do a software update, then you have to go through the Cookie process, logging on. If you haven't already got yourself a Cookie profile, this would be the great time to do that. So download the Cookie app, it's COOKIDOO, Cookie app, and create yourself a profile. You get 30 days for free when you create a profile, and then on the purchase of your machine, you'll get an additional 3 months, and I will show you how to activate that as well. So you'll get 30 days for free and then your additional 3 months, which gives you 4 months in total. So this gives you plenty of time to go through, have a look at Cookie, explore all different sorts of recipes, earmark some ones that you might want to try later, and just have a general browse at the different collections and the different things that are available. I will show you how to see Cookie on your machine, and I'll also show you how to upload and start your 3-month subscription once you are done. But it's a great recipe portal. It has over 110,000 recipes in it and over 12,000 that are in English. So there is definitely something on there for everybody. I'm sure that you'll find something if you go looking. All right, so we're just about there. We're at about 75% now, waiting for the machine to boot up and do its thing. But I just want to recap what we've gone over so far while we're waiting. So we've got our book with our technical details in it. We have our butterfly or our whisk. We have our spatula. We have our varoma that comes in the base, the tray, and the cover. We have our new insulated bowl cover with our insulated bowl on the inside, a simmering basket, a lid, and our lid cap. Now this is booted up to 100% and it's just gone and restarted itself. You'll be able to hear the chimes and they're quite different to what the TM6 were. So it's quite a fun little tune. Again, I will show you how you can amend that so that it's only chiming for a certain amount of time and not indefinitely. All right, so what you'll notice with the TM7 is that there is a large 10-inch screen, so it's like having a tablet right there for you. It's got amazing colors and graphics and just super, super easy to use. All right, so let's wait for it to wake up, do its thing, and then I can show you the next part. So it comes up here. I'm gonna bring this so hopefully you guys can see this. It says start. So we're gonna go ahead and start. The first thing it's gonna ask us is our language. We want to go down and then we want to select Australia, New Zealand, English. Okay, then it asks us to select our country. And then there are some warnings that we need to be mindful of here. So it talks about only using official accessories on the machine. Make sure that we don't place it on a hob. So that can be an issue. If you place it on a hob, then someone might accidentally turn your hob in, and don't pop it too close to a hob either because of the radiant heat. It talks about making sure that you stop the device if you happen to boil over any liquid that are in it. Make sure we're not overfilling it, so we're obeying the maximum fill line on there. Locking in the knife and the insulation properly, so we've talked about how to do that with the lever. The next one is to avoid knocking over the bowl. Obviously we don't want to spill anything when we have hot liquids in there, and it also says to read all of the instructions. So it talks you through those points of note. Now the next part will be to do your Wi-Fi connections. Obviously to be able to use Cookie we need to do our Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pop in my Wi-Fi password. Now you can use the machine without Wi-Fi if you want, so you might be going camping for example, and you can also hotspot to a phone if you need to. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So now it says log in or register. So this is talking to you about Cookie and it wants you to log in to Cookie or register if you haven't already. So I'm going to hit login or register. Now this asks me to scan the code. So I'm just going to bring up my camera and scan that with my other device. Because I'm logged into Cookie on my iPad, this should recognize it straight away. Okay, fantastic. So that is logged in. So continue to your next step. It tells me I'm connected. Now there are some options with how your home screen is set up. So there are 3 different ones. So this one says, I like daily inspiration. So it gives you an idea about a bunch of different recipes. You can see there are some pictures here. The next one is, I like organising myself. So it'll show you some planned recipes and then some shortcuts to some other functions. And the final one is, I like having tools handy. So it's just a screen full of tools. It's totally up to you what you'd like to set it to. The default is to the middle one, which is I like organising myself, and that's probably my preference as well. So I'll select that one. You can definitely change that selection a bit later. So you've just heard the chime there. Now it comes up with our home screen, and because I've chosen the I like organising myself option, this is why we have these 4 buttons over here, which are some tools, and then the planned recipes. Now this says update available. I want to update now. So I said, whenever you turn your machine on and it's connected to the internet, it's going to look for software update. That's part of being a smart connected machine, is the ability to constantly access updated software. So it's going to check, it tells me there's a software upgrade that needs to be done. It's going to download that and then restart the machine. This is where it could take another 10 to 15 minutes, just depends on how many updates it has to download. So whilst you're doing this, if you have something else, maybe you might want to wash up your Varoma and your bowl and your accessories so they're ready for your first cook. That's up to you. This would be a great time to go through Cookie Doo and figure out what it is that you want to cook first with your new machine. A great place to start, I always recommend, is the vegetable stock paste and then the chicken stock paste. They are available on Cookie Doo, and they are just such a great staple to have in your fridge or freezer that you can use in your recipes that just give a great depth of flavour to all of your dishes. There's a new low waste stock paste recipe that came out with the TM7 as well, which is really great. There's a lot more flexibility to the types of vegetables and things that you can use in your stock paste. This update is going relatively quickly. We're at 65% already. So once that's done, it's going to install the software and then we're going to get started again. So I'm going to talk you through the home screen, and then I'm going to work my way through the menu buttons on the left hand side and show you some of the main features. I'm not going to talk about every single aspect of the TM7 today, but I'm going to give you enough to get started, and then whatever you need, just contact me and I'm more than happy to help with any of your Thermomix needs. All right, we're just about there. It's about 95% so far. As I said, you can choose from how your home screen looks depending upon what it is that you like. I choose the middle one, which is I like organising myself, and that gives me the option of having some plain recipes there, but also my shortcut keys. So it has downloaded the software, but it's now going to install the software. It tells me this can take 10 to 15 minutes. I don't find it tends to take quite that long, but it really just depends on how many updates and what your internet connection is and things like that. So whilst this is waiting, again, you could go ahead and find some more recipes on Cookie Doo to download, which is really exciting, and you can organise them into folders. So I have one that's called Dinner Ideas, for example. If I find new recipes that I would really like to try, and I can pop them into my dinners one. You might have one for desserts. You may be dealing with someone that maybe is gluten-free. You can have a whole recipe for gluten-free, those sorts of things. One for cocktails, all sorts of things. So Cookie Doo has a lot of flexibility built into it, and you can go ahead and find your favourite recipes and catalogue them so you know exactly where to find them when you turn your machine on. So everything you can do and see on your Cookie Doo app on your phone or your tablet, you'll be able to see on the machine on Cookie Doo. So it has its own tab where, again, you can search, you can catalogue, all those sorts of things. So I can tell the machine what it is that I want to cook this week and what day I want to cook it on. And when I bring up my week on Cookie Doo on the machine, it'll have all those recipes laid out for me, which is really exciting. So we're still going through that software update process. It's downloading and installing the software onto the machine. And once it's finished, we'll be able to come back and get ready with our machine. One fun, exciting thing that you can do with the machine is you can actually rename it. So when you first turn it on, I think it says Hello Thermomix Chef. You can change that. I will be calling mine Mel's Kitchen. That's the name of my social media profile and what I use for my VIPs. So that's exciting. You can come up with a fun name for your Thermomix. I've seen a bunch of really creative names that people have used. So that's a fun little thing that you can do with your Thermomix as well. Okay, so now you may not know, but your Thermomix comes with 2 years of warranty. So if you do have any issues with your machine in the first 2 years, you can obviously send that back and have that rectified. Now you can continue to get it serviced beyond that 2 years. We do offer a servicing function, which is great. So if you think it might be looking like maybe it needs a bit of a look over, just like your car needs some servicing periodically, you can send that away and have the servicing done on that as well, which is really exciting. Super easy to clean the machine here. Just with a microfiber cloth, you can clean the screen just like you would with any screen. Wipe it down. This is a really, really hard wearing screen though. So even if you have wet fingers or there happens to be food or water on the screen, it's still going to be very responsive to your touch, which is exciting. Some people might prefer to use a stylus. I find it really easy to use my fingers. The TM6 I found a little more difficult with my fingers because I have long nails, but the 7 I found no problems whatsoever at all. The remainder of here are just a damp wet cloth to keep it nice and clean. You can get the little brushes from the mix shop if you're wanting to make sure there's no little bits of food that are stuck from underneath here where the bowl engages. That's an option as well. Because it is slimmer, so you may not have seen it compared to the TM6, but it takes up less space width-wise, significantly less space. It is a couple of centimeters longer, but definitely less space in the width, so it's easy to pop aside for when you're not using it if you happen to have a limited amount of bench space, which is really good. Also really popular with people that are caravanning, camping, using their RVs, those sorts of things, because it takes the place of so many different appliances, and you can just pop it on your bench and have so many things ready to go. So it is really great for those that space is a significant consideration. Alrighty. Maybe hear that little noise. That's our little chime to let us know that it's waking up, and we're going to be able to get ready soon, which is exciting. You'll notice behind here, and I will show you the different color lights. So we have, it'll be green when there's no heat involved. It'll go to orange and yellow and orange, and then to red when we're using heat. So that's pretty exciting to be able to tell what's going on with the machine from there. Now the thermo has just turned on. It says have an excellent day, Thermo Chef, which is exciting, and it's now telling me that the download is complete and that we are connected to the internet, which is great. Now I haven't got any now this says here 3-month Cookie Do subscription for free. Activate my 3-month Cookie Do for subscription. Activate free trial. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that. Again, it's asking me to scan the QR code, so I'll just grab out my other device and I will go ahead, scan that code. And then we can activate it. So it says start free 3 months. I click on that and it's doing its thing. And then we will have ours, so finish. So then it tells you what your new finish date is for your Cookie Do subscription. So as I said, you get 30 days free when you activate a profile. You get 3 months for free once you have started on your machine, and then it will tell you after that. So you get you get 4 months to start with, and then annually it's $89 for the year, which works out to, I think it's about $1.30 a week. All right, so we're here on our home screen. Now, I'm going to show you guys these guys over here. So down the side here, we have some menu selections. The first one is a picture of home, which is obviously our home screen. If I move this a little bit, hopefully you guys might be able to see a little bit better. Picture of our home screen. Because of what I've chosen, I have planned recipes if I had any there, and then I have 4 buttons over here. The presets are My Week, Pre-Clean, Manual Mode, and Tutorials and Help. Okay, that's our home button. So if you're ever not sure where you are, hit the home button, it'll bring you here. We come down, anything that I've bookmarked that I want to have a look at again are there. Recently cooked. These are things that I've recently cooked through my TM6, so those are on there. And then it talks to you about trending recipes, and that's all come from Cookie Do. Things that are fresh from the oven, and then allows you to edit your home screen. If I hit on edit home screen, it allows me to choose what I like in terms of my layout. Okay, so if you're not sure which one you want, you can just start with the default and then move them around as you like. Okay, the next one down here is a picture of a magnifying glass. This brings up cookie dough. So just like you have cookie dough on your phone or your tablet, you have cookie dough here. So we have recipes. This has 12,125 English recipes or collections. There's over 8,000 collections I can have a look for, depending upon what I'm looking at. So there's a whole recipe for wraps. There's some for all sorts of different bits and pieces. Winter escapes, things that use the cutter, all sorts of things. So home screen. Then the next one down is cookie dough. The next one down looks like a picture of a page. So this is the My Recipe. So we have recently cooked. We have things that we might have bookmarked. My recipe list. So I have get started, cocktails, dinner ideas, all sorts of bits and pieces in there. The next one are collections that I have saved onto my Thermomix. And the next one are created recipes that I have gone ahead and chosen to create either from scratch or I've imported across from the recipe community website. Okay, now the next one down here is a picture of the knife or blades. This is your mode screen. So these are all of your different modes. Now, as we progress with the TM7, I expect that we will get more modes as we go along. So at the moment, these are the modes that we have. Manual mode, which is you telling the Thermomix time, temperature, and speed. Now time, we've got minutes, seconds, then we have temperature, then we have speed, and then we have this little picture of the blades next to it. If I want 1 minute, if I click on minute, there are some options that come up down here, 1, 5, 10, 30. So I can scroll, or I can just hit the one that I want, 5 minutes. If I want 5 minutes and 30 seconds, I can just hit the presets. Temperature is the same. It has some presets, 50 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 degrees, 100 degrees. It starts at 37 degrees and it goes all the way up to 120 degrees with the manual mode, okay? The next one over here is your speed. Now your slowest speed is the picture of a spoon. It's called soft spoon. It then goes up in 0.5 increments from 0.5 up to 10. 10 being the highest speed and soft spoon being the lowest speed. So I can tell it which one I would like to go to. And then next to that is a little picture of the cross or the blades. If I press on that, it tells me the blade direction reverse has been enabled. So you would use the reverse option if you are, say you have meats in there and you don't want to break the meats up as you're turning it. You use reverse, so we're using the back of blade. So we're not cutting, we're not using the front of the blade. Now if I have my bowl on here, it recognises the bowl is on. So it will allow me to start the machine once we have finished, once we're ready. But I don't need to actually do anything with the machine at the moment. So we're going to go back to our mode screen. Now, we have pre-clean next. Now, pre-clean is really exciting. Pre-clean is it starting the washing up for you. So under all of these modes, there are information buttons that you can press. So the information where it says show tips, it will tell you how to use that mode. Now, for pre-clean, we pop in 1 litre of water and 1 drop of detergent. There is a 1 litre mark inside of the bowl, and it's probably going to be a little bit tricky for me to show you, but perhaps you can see on the back here, there is a little 1 dash. That is the 1 litre capacity. So 1 litre of water, 1 drop of detergent, and the machine will start the cleaning for you. You just have to tell it what cycle you would like. So we have quick, universal, dough, browning, and fat or caramel. So depending upon what you've been doing with it is what you would choose. Universal is probably what gets used the most in my house, unless I'm using the browning mode, and then I might use that, or if I've been using dough. Now you can see here that the green play button has come up. That's it telling me it's ready to start, and I can start the machine if I want to. Moving along, we have the dough mode, which is obviously used for creating your doughs. I can tell it how long I want it to do, and it will start for me. Now, dough mode, 2 minutes of dough setting is equivalent to 20 minutes of hand kneading. Okay, we move along to the browning, and this is one of the exciting changes between the TM6 to the TM7. So browning is, so normally with the Thermomix on manual mode, you can go up to 120 degrees. Browning mode allows you to go up to 160 degrees, which is what we call our high heat mode, and allows you to do that manually, so at any time that you want to. This is great for things like caramelizing onions, sizzling up your bacon. I did some taco mince in here the other day. I did half a kilo of mince I chopped up an onion and some taco seasoning. We did 10 minutes browning and it was perfect. So high heat mode is great for all of those sorts of things. So that is our browning mode. Tell it how long you'd like to do, and it has two options, gentle and intense, depending upon how intense you want your sizzle. And you can change it, obviously, again, with the time, and then you can hit go from whenever you want. Steaming. Steaming is using the Varoma. So the Varoma, if I move the cap off, the Varoma, you can see the indent in the bottom. It sits on top here. Now, this is asking me, there's a little picture here, it says, are we using the Varoma? Are we using the steaming basket, which is inside the bowl, or are we using both? So I can tell it what I want. I can tell it how long I would want it to be going for and how much I want the water to be agitated in the inside. So what speed I would like on it. So steaming your vegetables, or you might want to put things like salmon or chicken in there. Steaming is a great mode for bulking out your dishes. So you may be trying to feed a larger crowd, maybe 6 or 8, and then you can bulk out your dishes with extra steamed veggies to go along with the rest of the main. Turbo is a 1 or 2 second blast of highest speed, great for flicking dough and remaining things off your blades and out to the side of the bowl to clean them up. Okay, blend is to use like a standard blender if you're wanting to make your smoothies and things like that. You tell it time and speed and off you go. The egg boiler mode is fantastic and really popular. Again, there's a show tips button there, but it says you can put 6 eggs straight out of the fridge in here with your water, and you tell it, do I want soft, medium, medium hard, or hard boiled eggs? Press the play button, it does the rest of the work for you. Got to love something that makes it so simple. Open cooking is another feature that is new with the TM7, and that is where the TM7 emulates being a saucepan. So open cooking is just that. There's no lid on, the blades are not turning, but it is still heating. So you can use that. You'll see recipes that call for pasta to be put in here. The creamy coconut chicken curry, which is one of our demonstration recipes, also uses this. You can do anything you would do in a saucepan, you can do in the open cooking mode, and that allows you to take the lid off and have it cooking open, which obviously allows you to check your seasonings and adjust as well. So that is our open cooking mode. Kettle, so it replaces a kettle. You can tell it what temperature you'd like your water warmed to. Obviously 100 degrees if you're wanting to boil water, but there are other options if you're wanting to heat to below 100. Warm up is great for reheating soups and things like that. You can tell it what temperature you want. There is a rice cooking function on here as well. Then we have thicken mode, so great for making your own béarnaise, hollandaise, custards, those sorts of things. You can tell it how hot you'd like to cook to, and it will go ahead and thicken up your sauces for you. Slow cook, there is a slow cook mode on here where you can do up to 8 hours of slow cooking. Tell it the temperature, tell it the time, and off it goes. Fermentation is a great mode for making your own yogurts and things like that, and other fermented foods. You can tell it how long you'd like to ferment for. The longest is 8 hours and up to 70 degrees. Here's a hot tip for you. If you're trying to prove dough, say you may be making a pizza dough, you're trying to prove dough and it's a cold day, I use my fermentation mode on 37 degrees for 1 hour, and I prove my pizza dough that way. It's a great way to do it if it's a cold day and you don't have a spot to pop your dough to ferment. Sous vide. Sous viding is slowly bringing foods that are in vacuum seal bag up to eating temperature. That's really popular with a lot of chefs and restaurants, and if you want to get into sous viding, then guess what? There is a mode here for you. Now, coming down here, the peeler mode. You can grab the blade cover and peeler out of the mix shop. It sits over the knife blade, and that allows you to peel things like carrot, potatoes, sweet potato, those sorts of things. Also really great for peeling your garlic. Pop it in there with the amount of water which it tells you on the show tips. I usually start with about 4 minutes and then see how we go from there. The remaining 3 are grating, slicing and spiralizing, and they are going to be used when we get the cutter, which is what's going to sit inside of the machine. So TB confirmed on when that's coming to Australia, but when it does, it will sit inside the machine and you can do grating, slicing and spiralizing. Now, you will notice as you play with your machine, you'll notice that the scales icon is available in so many different spots. Pull the lid off, it already knows how much the lid weighs, so it zeroizes them. So it's on the mode screen there, but it's also on pretty much every single mode that I pick up. There'll be a little picture of the scales where you can bring them up so you can weigh your ingredients in there. So it's also available. If we go on to the cooking center, which is up the top here, time, scales and pre-clean, your scales are available there. Scales are available in lots of spaces. So home screen, the cooking center, we drag down from the top. You want to set a timer, you want your scales, or you want pre-clean. So pre-clean's available as a mode there in our cooking center and also on our manual mode screen. So you get to know what modes you use the most, and you can customize your home screen. Moving down from the mode screen, it has 9 dots. Now this is where your settings and a bunch of other things are. First one is my week. So if I have gone through Cookie Do, say I was sitting on my phone and I decided we want these recipes on these nights, it would come up and it would show me them along here. I would see how my week has been organized. The next one down here is tutorials and help. So there are lots of really handy videos and information on there if you want to go looking for particular things. Settings. Okay, so settings has a whole bunch of stuff. So it has your things about the Thermomix. It has obviously your country and your language and your Wi-Fi, things that we've set up along the way. Bluetooth, so you can enable things like the sensor if you're cooking with the Thermomix sensor. Sounds is a really good one. So sounds here, there's an option to change the volume of your chimes, and then the finish sound duration. The default is unlimited and nobody wants to listen to that unlimited amount of time. I usually bring mine back to about 10 seconds. That's my preference. Then you've got things on here, additional sounds, auto ticking off ingredients, which is great. So if you're measuring, you're using a cookie dough recipe and it asks for 50 grams of something, you add it in there. When it reaches 50 grams, it ticks the ingredient off automatically for you, which is great. And also it has startup and shut down sounds as well. Now display and font, you have the option to change the brightness, but also the size of the font. So I usually keep it in large display because I normally wear reading glasses, but the large display font is great. Now scales in cooking, so it allows you to change between imperial and metric. And then there's also an opportunity to do a factory reset. Now, there may be times where we need to do a factory reset, and that's where you would find it. That is under settings. Profile and cookie do. So this is where we have our cookie do. We can see our subscription is active and when it's next due to be renewed. And then profile, this is where you can change the name of your Thermomix. So at the moment it is Thermomix Chef. It's easy enough. You just go in there, get rid of what you don't want, and you call it whatever you do want. Now I've just got to find the one that I want. There it is. So we're going to call it Mel's Kitchen. And we hit save. Go back to the home screen and it says, have an excellent day at Mel's Kitchen. So we've talked about the base, we've talked about the bowl and how to engage the knife, we've talked about the varoma, the steaming basket, the whisk, and the spatula. We've gone through the home screens and everything. Now, the only other thing I want to show you quickly, because I know this has taken quite a while, is I want to show you how a recipe will look while we're in here. So if we go into Cookie Do, and we just bring up, let's just bring up Yorkshire puddings as the first one. It will give you all the information. So the picture, how many star rating it is, how long it takes to prep, how long it is in total, how many it serves, and then it comes down and we can change the serving size. It tells you all the ingredients that you need, useful items, what sort of things you need, all the preparation and the instructions. So you can go ahead and you can hit start. Now, what you'll see is a bunch of steps. You can scroll up and down the steps to see what's coming up. And you can see over here, it will give you a visual representation of how many steps there are and where you are at in the steps. So we can hit next to go to the next step. These guys that have ingredients, so for 2 eggs, we would tick that off because we're not weighing the 2 eggs. But the next one wants 150 grams of flour. So I can go ahead and pop the flour in there and that will tick that off automatically, or I can tick it off myself. Okay, so that's our cookie do. Now this says back to current step if you forget where you were. And there's also, if you go down to another step, say for example here, and we click on the 3 dots, it says set as current step. So if I want to skip a couple of steps, I can go back and set that as my current step. Okay, now it's telling me I'm at step 2 out of 9. I can click on there and it take me there. But if I don't want to do this anymore, I just hit finish recipe. Okay, and that no longer thinks that it's trying to cook those things. So all the menu items down the side, we have a cook center up the top where we also have some buttons. And if we have a look down here, let me go down to edit home screen. Okay, so I'll show you what these others look like. So if I just have the tools, this gives me the option to have 8 shortcuts, and the little mode, little crayons down here allow you to change what's there. So it comes up with manual, egg boiler, pre-clean, steaming, dough, rice cooker, turbo tutorials. If I want that, perfect. I can keep them there like that. If I want to try something else, then I can go edit home screen. This one says I like daily inspiration, and it will bring up what it is that I want on that screen. So it's showing me my recently cooked, and then it's got a bunch of other inspirational bits and pieces in there, as well as some shortcuts. I like to go with I like organizing myself, and this is where we come up with our home screen. Again, I get the option to change any of these around. So if I don't want my week up there, I can click on there and it will give me all of the options of the things that I prefer. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can customize your screen. Now, that's a very quick overview of the TM7. Hopefully I have talked you through enough features that you can get started on your TM7 journey. But remember, I'm always here to help you with anything that you need. Send me a message or give me a call and I'm more than happy to help. But happy cooking. I hope you love your TM7 as much as I love mine, and happy cooking. Thanks, guys.